I want customers to understand, your customers, the customers that come to me and inquire, and I'm not trying to sell you a module at that point. I take the salesperson hat off and I put my teaching hat on. And what I mean by that is I want them to understand exactly what kind of module do they need, because they don't need a module that has too much domestic content if all they need is 11%. They don't need a module that has 35%, 38% domestic content if they're working on a rooftop project and they're using a microinverter and a racking solution that gets them the bulk of the domestic content, and they only need 7% derived from the module.
The clean energy industry is moving fast. The deals are getting bigger, the technology is evolving, and the stakes have never been higher. Welcome to the Clean Power Hour, the podcast for solar, storage, and microgrid professionals who want to stay ahead of it all. Each week, your host, Tim Montague, industry advisor and president of Clean Power Consulting Group, brings you unfiltered conversations with the leaders actually building the energy transition. Now, here's your host, Tim Montague.
We're here at InterSolar San Diego with Chris Lettman, one of my favorite solar panel geeks. He is with Imperial Star Solar. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to be here. It's great to be back down in San Diego. Took a nice little 90-mile train ride from Irvine, California, where our sales and marketing office is at.
It's a rough life.
It is.
You live the dream every day.
I tell you, it's a great thing.
So, what is going on in the solar industry that's on everybody's minds, Chris?
Hands down, FEOC compliance. More so now than ever. That's probably the first thing that gets asked by customers, prospective customers, new customers coming up, whether here at today's event, throughout the week. I'm expecting even more. They're looking at FEOC compliance because the importance of it, so much more so now than ever before. They want to know and make sure that we are a company that is FEOC compliant. We're going to see some module manufacturers probably go away this year, or at least not be the same name they once were years before.
Yeah, it's a dynamic landscape.
It is.
Solar modules are truly commodities. They've been around for 70 years. It's a very mature industry, but you mentioned FEOC compliance, okay, foreign entities of concern. To take the full ITC, you have to find a way to FEOC-free products.
That's correct.
And the solar module being the most expensive component in a solar array is a very important piece of the CapEx. But Chris, for our listeners not familiar with Imperial Star, which isn't necessarily a household name, you are a very established company in this industry. Tell us a little bit about Imperial Star. Where are you manufacturing, and what are the products that you're selling in the U.S. that are FEOC-free?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been around for well over a decade now. We started out as an OEM manufacturer. We have our facility still in Indonesia, so we do manufacture modules there that are FEOC-compliant modules. We have a 6-gigawatt cell factory in Africa that is up and running now. We'll have more details on that being released probably later next month. Moving over to the U.S. side of manufacturing, we have a 2-gigawatt factory in Houston, Texas, Tomball, Texas to be exact, which is about 20 miles northwest of downtown Texas. We offer the...
downtown Dallas?
Downtown Houston, I'm sorry. Downtown Houston, thank you for correcting me on that. So just outside of Houston, Texas, that is a 2-gigawatt capacity. Within that 2-gigawatt capacity, we also have domestic content modules. Breaking that down further, we have a supply agreement with Suniva. Suniva is a domestic cell manufacturer based in Norcross, Georgia, and we do have cells that we procure from them that we can offer our customers a domestic cell panel via that Suniva cell. Now, if a customer needs a different configuration where they don't necessarily need that much domestic content, we call it domestic light. So maybe they need a frame, encapsulant, junction box, maybe they need somewhere between 3% up to 11 or 12% domestic content. We can configure a module that meets that criteria, still meeting the overall percentage that they need for that certain project year. Let's say it's 2025, that's 50%. Depending on the type of project they're working on, we can help them meet that that threshold.
And this is one of the reasons I love you, Chris, is because you really help my clients work through the pros and cons of domestic content, FEOC-free, or non-FEOC-free, because every type of panel, if you're using domestically made cells and modules, that's going to be a premium price.
Absolutely.
Versus a module made in Indonesia or Africa, which may also be FEOC-free, but non-domestic content.
Right.
And so you really have to compare all your options and run the numbers, and you're very good at helping EPCs and developers do that.
Yeah, and I want customers to understand, your customers, the customers that come to me and inquire, and I'm not trying to sell you a module at that point. I take the salesperson hat off and I put my teaching hat on. And what I mean by that is I want them to understand exactly what kind of module do they need, because they don't need a module that has too much domestic content if all they need is 11%. They don't need a module that has 35%, 38% domestic content if they're working on a rooftop project and they're using a microinverter and a racking solution that gets them the bulk of the domestic content, and they only need 7% derived from the module. Go with a domestic light configuration. Exactly. And that's where we have that discussion, and that becomes a teaching moment to the customer.
What other trends should solar installers and developers be aware of in our industry? You know, we're headed, as I just reported on with Costa Nicolau from Panaclaw, we're headed into the post-ITC world.
Yeah.
The ITC is phasing out for solar. It's extended on batteries, but it is phasing out for solar.
Yeah.
By 2028, it's gone, unless something changes. And most insiders who I talk to don't expect the ITC to come back. So we really are talking about ITC free. It doesn't mean the industry doesn't continue to evolve. We are going to bring down the soft costs. And of course there are things like tariffs. That landscape is going to be dynamic as always.
Sure.
But what else should solar installers know about and see coming?
Yeah, I think they should expect, newer models, more dynamic models on the financial side that aren't going to be part of, the ITC and everything. The brains behind our industry are going to be figuring out, how do we move into the subsequent years beyond the ITC? How do we keep our industry moving forward without the ITC? I know we can do it. I know there's people out there smart enough to do it. I've worked with them before. I've met them. I know they're out there. You know them. And they are going to come up with the right tools, the financial tools, the installation tools, all the tools that we need to keep our industry moving forward.
You think about, across the U.S., the installation of solar, we're still less than 10% of grid power nationally coming from solar. Right. We're nipping at those heels. Right. And if you run an industrial facility or large warehouse, let's say cold storage, you can benefit from solar in pretty much any market in the U.S. And of course, some markets pay back faster than others, sure, where electricity is more expensive, or we have incentives like renewable energy credits in Illinois. But I think that C&I is a great opportunity.
It is.
And I'm curious, when it comes to C&I versus utility, do you make products for both markets?
We do, absolutely. And unfortunately for us, a lot of the modules, the power bin and the physical dimensions of the modules are pretty much the same. For the most part, it just depends on which region that C&I project is being built in. So, but for the most part, those modules, we're making those simultaneously between a C&I configured module versus a utility type configured module, whether it's here at our Tomball, Texas facility or in Indonesia.
Well, hopefully we can meet again in Texas. I'd love to do a tour of your facility.
You have an open invitation, Tim.
And I will be going to ACP this year. I think that's in Houston.
It is, yep, in June.
So that might be our opportunity.
Yeah. June 4th through the June 6th time frame, I believe.
Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Just look for Imperial Star. Follow us on LinkedIn, imperialstar.com.
Check out all of our content at cleanpowerhour.com. Please tell a friend about the show. That's the best thing you can do to help others find this content. And with that, I'll say, let's grow solar and storage. Thanks so much, Chris Lettman with Imperial Star.
Thank you.
The Clean Power Hour is brought to you by CPS America, maker of North America's #1 three-phase string inverter, with over 10 gigawatts shipped in the U.S. The CPS product lineup includes string inverters ranging from 25 kW to 350 kW. Their flagship inverter, the CPS 350 kW, is designed to work with solar plants ranging from 2 megawatts to 2 gigawatts. CPS is the world's most bankable inverter brand and is America's #1 choice for solar plants, now offering solutions for commercial, utility, ESS, and balance of system requirements. Go to chintpowersystems.com or call 855-584-7168 to find out more.